Hello, everybody. So we are live now. We're just switching over the host. Do I need to search for the server again?
It shouldn't.
Oh, yeah, there we go. I see a gray circle in the center at least. Cool. Alright, so... yeah, this should be a fun episode. Worst cards. So, we're going to be starting with the game
Well,
first.
not worst cards. Bad cards.
Bad cards. I'm going with the worst cards. That's my look at it.
Oh, I'm going with bad cards.
Just general
badass cards. Badass cards. That's what we're talking about, right?
So you're gonna actually have good cards here.
No. We'll see what we got.
Alright. Yeah. I'm definitely interested in this. So we're starting with the game first because we actually don't normally get to do the game, or we're usually rushed on that. And it's because we're taking so much time talking about the cards. So this time we're gonna just start with the gameplay and then go into the cards. This should be interesting.
I don't know why, but I feel like our game K could possibly be a bit slow.
Maybe a little bit.
Depending on the champion.
Let's roll to see. Oh, you haven't revealed your champion yet either, eh? Alright.
I put a face down because you did yours.
9.
Alright. 8, your choice.
I'll lead. Are you doing the thing? So, is your deck actually playable by your champion, or are you just playing cards?
My deck is not playable by my champion.
Okay. So, I made a deck for this champion. I got Fong, because I was gonna like, if I am gonna be playing with the worst cards, I gotta play with the champion I'm the worst with.
Okay, so I went with Nubia, because if I'm going to be playing the worst cards, I want more worst cards.
Good answer. Oh, nice. Oh, I should probably turn down the background music a little bit. Yeah. Alright. Loading opening hands. Let's see what we got. Yeah, those are some wonderful cards right there. Alright. I'm gonna take a step forward. And I'm actually dropping Earth Elementals.
Ooh, okay. This is how we're gonna play there, Sid.
And that's it for me.
These might be relevant. As soon as I make this play, you can tell me I'm gonna play Ryukyu Rabbits.
Yes.
Did they do 1 damage versus Earth Elementals?
They do. And this is why Earth Elemental is the worst. Oh, that's so good. So good. Alright, next round? Or do you got more to play?
I didn't cycle enough through my deck, so we're gonna play a Library of Sahas back here.
Aha.
Ooh, yeah. I'm pretty sure it's been changed to only champions, right?
Pardon?
Because I grabbed the beta one. I grabbed the beta one, but I think there's a slight change on the displace effect that only the person playing it moves.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So I discard a card.
Hello, everybody.
I am going to. Do you know what? I've shown my Ryukyu Rabbit, so I'm going to discard it and draw a new card. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good card right there. All right. I am happy enough. I'm happy enough. We can go to the next round.
Alright. Let's draw. I'm still gonna do it. Attacking in for the 3.
My Ryukyu Rabbit will attack back for 1.
I take 1. That's so sad. Oh, the elemental's just so bad. Alright, here you go.
Alright, Ryukyu Rabbit's gonna double move and attack for 1. The value.
That's the most value I've seen out of Ryukyu Rabbit.
It's true, it's so true.
Oh, I'm going there. Hey, Steven.
no.
Wait.
Oh, I messed myself.
Rabbits versus elementals, the way nature intended it. That's the first time that rabbits have ever done damage. It's so true. It's
All right.
so sad.
Move, turn. And you know what? I got a very good play here because I need to do some action speed stuff. I'm gonna play a Library of Sahas
What?
to get over to here, and I'm gonna discard, throw away my secrets. I'm gonna throw away a library away.
Okay.
Draw a new card. Ooh, that's a good one. Oh, a good one. Good of the bad. I won't be able to play it, but I have a feeling I'm never gonna be able to play this card. We should play, just some cards. We're gonna play a Dark Loa.
All right, just for everyone who's watching, Alex's deck is not tournament legal. He just wanted to play with all the cards that are in his top 10 list. So yeah, that's why he has the Dark Aloha there.
All right. I need to know. Should I play A or B? No, we're gonna go with B. B is way more,
Right.
a way better card. I'm worried about you, getting in here and smacking me. So I'm gonna do a Meditative Ascension.
Oh, that's so good.
And you know what? I'm gonna end it with a smack to this elemental right here.
I lost an elemental. That's 13 aura right there.
That's true.
Hey, Darren, thanks for joining us. All right, I'm gonna go forward one. Wait, I got this. More Earth Elementals.
Oh no!
I love the Earth Elementals.
I need more money.
And Volcanic Eruption.
Oh, go for it! Getting around my 6th chi already.
Yeah, it was super relevant.
I don't know how I missed that. I did not. I forgot about Volcanic Eruption.
Ooh, it's a 6.
Dang. Ugh.
What does that do?
That's 2 damage to everything around you.
Around?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. This card's so bad. Why is it so bad?
Yes, they're weak enough for my rabbits.
Did I lose the card or is it just revealed?
It is. Yeah, you lose the card as well. The revealed card is gone.
And send it to your memories. Ooh, that's rough. I could have used that 20 aura summon. Alright, and I can't attack you, so that's round.
Alright, next round.
I will.
Draw for turn. Oh, that's a good one. Ooh, I'm excited to play this one.
My Earth Elemental has to stay alive for that Ryukyu. It's so good. It's so good. I'm gonna rotate here and attack you for the 3. I think that's my biggest
all
value.
My cards. Oh, this is a swift response. Demon Scrolls.
Nice.
Let me go search through my deck for an
you
answer.
Took more damage than I was hitting you for. Why?
Oh yeah, we haven't seen this card. Is this? I hope it's face down. Face down. Okay, go to my hand. All right.
Oh yeah, Steven. I totally could have tapped the library. It's all good.
1, 2, and then I take 3 from the Earth Elemental because no response after going searching.
All right, go for it.
It's my turn. I'm never gonna get a better value time than right now. I'm gonna turn to the left, and I'm going to play Peaceful Demand. Oh no! Peaceful Demands. Yeah, Peaceful Demands.
Bah. This. So. I will stun myself. Yeah. Let's keep the cards in hand. I'm gonna stun myself.
All right.
And I'm pacified for the rest of the turn. I am pacified.
For the rest of the turn.
Not the round. The turn.
Oh no! You know what? you know what? That's fine for the turn. That I'm just trying to combo off. So for this turn, now you can't respond to my take to the skies.
Oh.
See, now we're back in it in the defensive mode, and I will attack you for 1 to end this off.
I'm down to 24. I'm going to. You're in the skies, eh?
I'm in the skies.
Then I only have 1 play here, so let's go here and attack the bunny.
The bunny will attack back.
And I'll fire shield it.
Oh, fire shield!
That's right. That's right.
I'm so sad. You know what? I would also like to respond.
Okay.
Dark Loa is going to prevent the damage that Riku Rabbit will deal this turn.
The next not only attack played by a target and champion someone is reduced by 2. So basically you just did nothing.
Yeah. You got it.
Yeah. Okay. So like most of these cards.
Yeah. Okay. This one's playable. All right.
All right. We got this. I'm gonna.
And I think it'll let me play my other card. Oh yes, I can play a new card.
Nice. So I'm gonna.
I'm excited when we can play a new card.
And I'm gonna play.
Go for it.
Meditative Ascension.
Oh, nice. That's good. That's good play. That's good.
There's all those volcanic eruptions. And then I can't even play this card. I have a card in my hand that I don't think I can literally play it with my deck. And I'll attack you for the 2.
Yep, those are all actions. So I will take my 2.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to turn.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I don't get to play this card because I just poke you for 1 instead. No. I have to play this card. Okay, I have to play it. I'm going to play Abidance.
All right.
Would you like
pacify?
Game Pacify?
I don't
All
have
right,
you foiled me.
You foiled me, Sid. I needed you to take that damage. I guess I'm going to poke it for 1.
Yep.
I was hoping to play my other card this turn.
I can't pay the 2 health. He only had 1 health.
That's fair.
All right, this one will attack you for the 3. 1 from behind.
Down to 6. All right, I'll put Loa in act position to save me some damage.
Yeah.
All right. Next round. Okay, there we go. Now we're getting the winners. Getting the cards that win games.
All right. Let's go over here and attack the Loa.
Thank you. He's dead. I can now play other cards.
Resurrect cards? Skeleton King?
Exactly, Skeleton King!
Oh, such nice artwork, though. You have fallen into my trap!
And then I'm going to need some support for the... Oh, actually, I'm going to do this a little bit smarter. I'm actually going to rotate this way. There we go.
Weren't you facing that way?
Was I facing this? I was, so I couldn't. Right, you're right. Yeah. All right. Then we'll go this way, and then we'll drop.
Kind of.
A Ryukyu Rabbit.
Nice.
5.
Steven's
question. That's gonna be it for me.
Was turn intended. It was a misprint, and we just didn't feel like it was worthwhile rating it, just because the card it wasn't gonna see play either way, so it wasn't worth going through the process of giving it an errata. So that's your move?
Yeah, that's it for me.
Gonna take a step forward. I'm gonna discard this or transmute because I literally can't play it.
Why can't you? Oh,
I have no
why can't you
attack
play it? I'm
abilities
confused.
in
Oh,
the deck.
gotcha. Uh,
And then I'm gonna drop this Archon of Light and attack you for the
nice.
2.
Down to 4. Next round.
All right.
All right.
Just because I want to see what you got in your hand, I'm gonna start with the Earth Elemental, swinging at the Skeleton King, because the Skeleton King's
Yeah, he's dead.
he dead
Oh, but now my rabbit has an opportunity.
to kill.
Take you out.
Nice. All right, let's end this. Well, let's see if we can end this. Archon of Light's
Whoa,
gonna
end this. That's
come in here and attack him for the 3.
no response.
And
Going down to 1.
after his results, Falling will attack for the 2.
Haha, abidance.
I'll pay the 2 health.
Yep. That's game. That is game.
All right. Good game. All right, let's head over to the deck builder.
Oh.
Some of those cards were just phenomenal. I don't know why we don't play them more often.
Oh.
All right. We saw quite a bit of your list. Do you want me to drop in my list, or do you want to show in the rest of yours?
I think we did see every single card from my list, so we can start with your list.
Okay. Let's grab those. So I couldn't narrow it down to just 10. Just because...
And that's fair.
Yeah, it was hard. It was hard. And so I had a lot of definitions I had to go into what I deemed as the worst. So one of the big things was that it could not be scalable. Like at a point, I wanted to find cards that maybe right now they're not good. So for example, Naturalized Attribute, which removes the element types from attack. Right now, it's not good, and it may not be good in the future. But the thing is, we don't know. In the future, there might be a card that's so dependent on being a given attribute that that card just becomes so much better. So I decided, okay, my things have to be cards that are not good now, and I can never see a future where they come out good. And could there have been a better option at that spot? And that's a big thing for me. And so
yeah,
let's jump into this. These are broken down into affiliations. I didn't rank it this time. I think everything is bad in its own sense. So let's start with the biggest one, Tacky Psyche. There's just so much to say about why this card's not the most productive card.
I have a story from this week about Tacky Psyche.
Yeah? Go first.
So, Nick Spry, one of my local players down here in Brampton, finally got tabletop. He got new, so he's able to play now. And so he started transferring his real decks onto tabletop. And he decided to make a few changes. And he messages me. He's like, so I made a few changes to my deck. Let me know how you think about it. I removed pressure points for Tacky Psyches. And I had to think for a moment. How do I respond to this? So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go the polite route. I'm going to go, all right, why don't you try it out, see if it works, was my decision on what to say. Okay. And then he went, well, what I'm thinking is, I discard a card and I get my Bolt Shot back. And I'm like, oh, Nick, I need you to read the card again. You're not getting a card back from putting a card from your memories to your timeline. You're putting a card from your thoughts, your hand, on top of the deck. And he went, oh, this ain't good at all. Like, yes, correct.
Now, credit where credit's due. We got to talk about the fact that JC, who designed this, John Rayner, he was in a very tight position when it came to design this because it was a 3-G card. It was defensive. It had to be unique. There was a lot of things that were coming into making something that was very challenging in the spot. Given that, I think he was very creative in what he did. But
for sure.
Yeah. And who knows? In the future, there might be a solid place for this. Is this card completely unplayable? No. There are
No.
situations where it's definitely reasonable. Your opponent plays Malfeasance. You play this in response, putting a 3-2 on top. You're in control of what you're losing, and you're in control of how much damage is being dealt to you. So there are situations where
Yeah.
it is relevant. It's just those situations are
Now,
so
Sid,
niche. Yeah,
did you have this in your deck
I did.
that you just played?
I did.
So you yourself had a combo. You could have Tacky Psyche something on top of your deck for the Volcanic Eruption.
That's true. And it is definitely in that niche space where it is reasonable, but it's so rare, and that's why I think this
Yeah.
card, we miss it a lot, and we just, was there a better option for the spot? To be honest, I don't know, unless we just rehashed old mechanics, because where we were at the time, I think this was the last or one of the last cards designed for Rays. So the card list was so full that it was hard to find that right spot. So given all the criteria,
Mm.
John did a great job with it. But will it see play? It's just very, very unlikely. All right. And this goes
Yep.
back to the other thing, which is it's so hard for me to pick bad cards in this game because I know the designers who worked on it. I'm one of the designers who worked on these cards. And it's really hard when you design a card, you think it's reasonable, it releases, and you're just like, oh, it didn't perform the way expected. This is a great example of that. This card I made, and I thought it was great until I niched it too much by saying attack abilities. It just should have said the next time you play an ability that costs energy, reduce it by 1 energy. Reduce it by 1.
Mm-hmm.
And then it would have been perfectly fine. It would have been a very, very reasonable card. It just got niche too much. It was hated on, and it just doesn't work. The artwork is beautiful for it, though. You got the Vadhis arena in the
Sure.
background there. It's just everything going for it is really nice, except for the actual card itself. And then my last Bellum one is the Archon of Light.
Yep.
This is just like the Elemental.
That's
Like,
understandable.
it's so overpriced. How much would a 6G of this caliber cost right now? Less than, like, not even 13. Less than 13. And then you give it the darkness weakness, and it's like, why are we paying 20 for this? It's so sad.
I remember when the first time I met Carl, I asked him what was his least favorite card in Genesis that he helped design with, and he said his least favorite card was Archon of Light.
Yeah.
Back then, so this was just when beta was out.
Yeah. Darren, yeah, this is an episode about bad cards in the game. Some justification behind them, but it's a lot of just like picking on some cards and talking about them in detail. Like, if any of these cards show up into your deck, I need you to sit down and revise it. So that's basically. But the artwork again on this one is very pretty. The dragons in the background, though, it goes against the mythology, so you can tell this isn't canon. It was just something that the artist worked on and came out fairly well. Yeah. All right.
Those aren't dragons. Those are birds, Sid.
You're
clearly
bird.
Birds in the background.
All right. Going on to Thymos. Starting off with Volcanic Eruption.
I missed that.
Yeah.
That's my favorite card to hate on.
It could have been cool. It just wasn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think really what was lacking of this card was that the last ability should have said 7 or 8G. It would have made a better like split. It should have been 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, 8.
Yeah.
But there's other things that can be fixed, like you losing that card. Yeah. If it's a 7 or 8G card, do you want to lose it? That's ouch.
And the amount of damage output is definitely very low. But the one thing that was a redeeming factor was that it didn't target. And that actually did help, because when I was going against you, I was just like, whatever I show, I'm able to hit. And that was nice.
And for those future leaguers, there was a small time where this card did shine when Basher stunned off of Earth damage.
That's true.
Because you wanted to do the mid tier and stun everything around you.
Hmm.
So there's always the chance that it'll come back. It could make its way
might.
around again. Who
It
knows?
might. That's the one thing I'm learning a lot about design is that any of these cards that I say are very unreasonable. There's some of them that I'm gonna stick to my guns and believe that they're never gonna see come back. But some things, like Dodge, for example, Dodge is a great example of a card that in Alpha, terrible, no one touched it. Beta, no one touched it. Welcome to JLR, people were looking at it, but it wasn't showing up in any deck. But then after the championship, yeah, then people were starting to run it like crazy. And I was like, what happened? What changed? I don't know. So who knows? This card can expand into that space. But I would want to see a better version of it for sure. All right, moving on. No Man's Land. The card that I hate on the most. It's just the artwork's so pretty though. No redeeming factors. Moving on. Meditate Extension. Another one. Artwork was very pretty. This was one of those cards that we made it, we released it. This came in the Alpha Starter Kit. And so many people who bought the Alpha Starter Kit, the very, very first day of play, they were like, wait, this card's terrible. Like, it was the first.
I remember my moment of that.
Yeah?
It was in my first draft. I had drafted this card, put it in my deck, went to play it as a Swift, because I just assumed that this card was a Swift, and then went, this is an action. Sid, what's the point of this card? And you just respond with, there is no point, it's bad. And I went, oh no!
Yep. Yep. And that was the thing, like, it was the first card in Genesis that people recognized as just being bad. It was the first card I had ever made, printed, and what people were paying money to own this card, and they're turning back to me and saying that it was bad. So this one stings. This one personally stings. I love the artwork though, and that artist was definitely a really interesting person. But yeah, I wish he had stayed on the project, but personal stuff came up. And then my last card in Thymos, the Earth Elemental. So you may be wondering, why aren't all the elementals on this list? And truth be told, they're not all equally bad. The Earth Elemental is especially bad.
I agree with you.
This comes down to the fact that so much things do fire damage, and on top of that, 2 of the champions do exactly 2 fire damage built in. And that kills the Earth Elemental. Where, like, the Air Elemental is probably the best because there's nothing until you get to Welcome to Jalara, where the Formosan deals 2 Earth damage, but in Alpha and Beta, nothing dealt 2 Earth damage. And then water damage, I can't think of anything that does 2 water damage, actually. You had Hydroblast, but that got replaced by Gust. So, yeah, they're not all equally bad, and Earth Elemental is just really bad. So,
as you saw, natural enemy to the Earth Elemental is the Ryukyu Rabbit.
Ryukyu Rabbit, yeah. It got sharp, pointy teeth. Yeah, the Earth Elemental is just so bad. All right, Axon, Future Sight. This is just because this card has no playability. There's nothing inherently bad about this card. I mean, it's cheap. It does a cheap effect for very cheap. It's not at 5 chi. Like, it's a balancer. You could, if you need a few of these, you can put them in your deck. But at the end of the day, it does nothing. And that's the part that hurts this card.
I do use it in one deck and one deck only, Malfeasance deck.
Even then, so I've had it in my Malfeasance decks, and more often than not, I'm like, yes, it's good to know what's on top of their deck, but I'm still gonna play Malfeasance anyways. Because even if it's a 3 chi, I still would rather do the 3. So I almost always end up pulling out Future Sight from my Malfeasance decks and putting in, another Gust or another Dedicated Studies or whatever. It's very, very, very rarely. Now, there was a time where I did Future Sight, saw it was a 3 chi, skipped a Malfeasance for the round, did it the next round, and ended up hitting a Death's Companion. Yes, that moment was great, but it didn't justify putting Future Sight into deck.
That's fair.
That's the only part of it. It's not that it's It's not the cheat cost, it's not the aura cost, it's not the effect. It's the fact that it's one of your 50 cards. That's the part that draws it
Yeah.
back, that holds it back. The artwork, again, very, very nice. It has that Starry Night feel. And I think this was one of the first cards where one of the champions showed up as artwork onto the card. And so, Future Sight, yeah, it's an interesting paradox. Downpour.
Yep.
The formula was off. The formula was off. Reprint this card with the correct formula, and it's definitely playable. But
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, like if this thing costs just say 15 aura, then it would be so playable. I think with that much damage, action speed, that much damage, electric brand, you're probably only looking at somewhere between 13 to 17 aura, some around there, and it's good at that point.
All right.
Right? It's just until then, it's just it's such a shame that we didn't have the formula right at this time. And then my last card in Axon, Perry. I
thought about putting that in.
I just don't see it. Like, the cards you want to negate with this are going to hit for at least 4 or higher. So you're looking at paying 7 energy. And at this point in Genesis, your best energy reduction at with Axon is 1. So you're still paying 6 cards to deal with 4 damage. That's a lot. It was 7 cards because you're playing this. So it's 7 of your 50. And it's just not there. Though I when I first saw this artwork, so this artist Alex, great person, I love working with her, but she's still very green when it comes to this type of art style. If this was taken by Damian or one of the more established artists and pushed to its limit, I think this artwork would have been killer for like a starter kit or a booster pack or something like that.
Oh, like on the front?
Yeah,
like
right?
2 champions clashing. Yeah. All
right. And then my chaos cards, Skeleton King, we saw this. Same theme. Artwork is great.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Like, I don't know why all the artwork for all these cards are just gorgeous, but they are. This card, so I expected Resurrect to be a lot better because when we did initial testing for Genesis, because Skeleton King showed up was it in the Alpha Starter Kit? I know it was there for launch. I just don't know if it was in the starter kit itself. I'd have to double check. But the artwork for Skeleton King we got very, very close to launch. So we hadn't done a lot of testing with Skeleton King before he showed up into the game. And the testing we did do was really cool because the game was primarily around hunting hounds. And hunting hounds just scattered across the board. So it was really cool when you're engaging in combat against someone's like air elemental in one corner of the board, the other corner of the board, your opponent's dealing with a hunting hound. Then that hunting hound turns into a Skeleton King. It's like, oh no, now I got to deal with this. And 3/3s were a big deal at that time. So in the scope of testing that we were doing, Skeleton King was really good. Then it got expanded and Giant Scorpion came out and Death's Companion came out and Angel of Retribution came out, and Skeleton King dropped faster and faster in its ranks. So this is one of those things that, as the card pool expanded, cards that were perceived as good just started getting worse. But that artwork, goodness. And the other thing was, so this artwork, it's done by Leslie, who does Angel of Retribution, Bolt Shot, both versions of Bolt Shot. She did this artwork as a personal piece. And she just threw it up on a Facebook page. And I'm like, I want to buy that from you. I bought the licenses for it. It's such a pretty artwork. All right. Coercive Command.
Oh, I missed one. Yep.
There's another one. That's just like, it does literally nothing. It might as well just say 8 aura, target champion loses 1 health.
Yeah.
And then debate, is it actually good? because I'd rather run Infernal Lashback over Curse of Command at that point. So,
Oh yeah, an 8 aura. What's the
yeah,
Infernal Lashback at?
8 aura.
8
It
aura.
both costs 8
Yeah.
aura. That's the thing. But Infernal Lashback can hit summoned. It hits for 2. And it's elemental branded. Yeah, sure, this is life loss, but that's elemental branded, so at least you can pump it up. There's places for it. It just doesn't have a home anywhere. Again, I love the theme of this artwork. I love these type of counter abilities where you're seeing something grasp over someone's mouth. We see that in Course of Command. We see it in Shutdown. And it kind of gives that better feel of like they're about to say something and you just kind of close their mouth. So this one, it was one of those pieces. This was definitely one of those pieces where I'm like, I wish we had a better card for that artwork. And
That's
then
fair.
my last Chaos one, Dark Loa. We saw this. Even in that game we played, how useless was it?
Pretty
The most
useless.
you did was make your own summon not do damage. But that artwork, oh, so good.
Yeah.
And this was really interesting because this artwork originally had a lot of focus on Fong, and we had to work with the artist to shift that focus onto the summon and off of Fong, and that was a cool kind of back and forth. I think if the summon had Spectral, it'd be more interesting.
Yeah.
Because then it can just actually
I
start
agree.
annoying your opponent. But the fact that it doesn't have Spectral, it has 2 health, it's just too easy to die, and its ability doesn't do a whole lot for it. Unlike what's that Jin that you don't like? Tahaj Jin or something like that?
Hydrogen, yeah.
Yeah.
It almost made the list. Almost.
Yeah. But when you compare that to this, at least that one can always stop someone from killing it. Where this, it stops you from doing a lot of damage. It doesn't stop you from killing it. All right, and then my last one, which you played, and we all saw how useless it was. Peaceful Demand. Though, okay.
I didn't realize it was for the rest of the turn.
I know, right? It makes it so much worse. So the cool thing we got here is the first time where we're seeing Nubia do the same magic in 2 different cards. So in careful consideration, the artwork here is that the 3 orbs, starting on the left side, you have Tsunami, bottom middle is Defensive Practice, and top right is Angel of Retribution. So she's literally looking at 3 options and trying to figure out which one she's doing. And in Peaceful Demand, you have 2 scenarios where on the left side, Idris is holding her head, going insane. That idea of discarding her hand. And on the right side, you have Idris blinded. So she's literally like loses her awareness. So in this regard, the artist did something really cool. I love the tie-in to the lore, the tie-in to what's happening. It gives that more cinematic moment. And this Peaceful Demand, just that the way Nubia is shown, it's so vicious. Like it's so I don't know, like the authoritative, dominating type of character. So there's attributes about both of these cards that I think are great. The thing is, careful consideration. There are times where I will debate people so much that this is playable over, depending on your deck, over Epiphany. There are particular niche spaces where I would run careful consideration over Epiphany. Not very often, but I would look at it, where Peaceful Demand just literally has no home in any settings. Unless you're like severely under chi in a draft deck, and your other options are like, or Transmutation or Tachypsyche. I'd rather take Peaceful Demand in a draft than Tachypsyche. I mean, there's one situation.
Yeah, that's fair. I can see that. Yeah.
All right, so those are my 14 cards. There's so many more. A lot of them got cut because there are quite a few niche spaces where I think they are reasonable. There are so many that it really just came down to trying to figure things out. And there may be cards that weren't my preferences, but other people run them. So I had to ignore
Yep.
those as well. Because like you have libraries and Sahas in there. And we'll get to that in a few seconds. But I know people who love the libraries. And for that reason, I was
Really?
just like, I don't think I can put it up here because I've seen those players do some nifty things with the library, and it's just it's there, yeah. Steven,
So yeah, like,
yeah. I'm sorry,
go ahead. Sorry, I was just checking the area where you're checking a comment.
Steven, I think Careful Consideration is playable personally, but rarely is there room in a deck for it. Yeah, see, that's the thing. It's a lot of people will make room in their deck for Epiphany. They're like, oh, must run Epiphany. It's so good. So they'll make room in their deck for Epiphany. And then I sit there and I look at their deck and I say, all right, you made the room for Epiphany. Now imagine take those Epiphanies, dropping them down because you're not looking for volume in your hand. Like it comes down to is your deck looking for I need 3 new cards, or of those 3, I just need the best one. And if the case is that you just need the best card, then Careful Consideration is great because you can drop all those Epiphanies down to 7G, which can upgrade other cards higher in the G slot, which means that your Careful Consideration can get you more value add. And then when you get the Careful Considerations in and you're like, all right, I can't run as many of them, then it really brings me back to why were you running so many Epiphanies? So there's so many moments where I'm just like, especially if you're running a non-OTK rain deck. If you're running OTK, it makes perfect sense. Go with Epiphany. But if you're trying to be that suave assassin mid-range type of fighter, the bruiser that we described in the town hall, then Careful Consideration, I like that so much more than Epiphany for rain.
Yeah, that's fair. Very fair.
All right.
So I had another pile that unfortunately I didn't save for everybody. Boo me, I know. That was a good other 20 cards of cards I disliked, but a lot of them conceptually is cards you would consider sideboard cards, and the reason why I don't like them is because we currently do not have a sideboard. So it's the floats and all those things.
Yeah.
The other cards that I generally hate are the enchantments. The one that gives you darkness,
Fire and
Dark Strength, Holy Strength, or whatever.
Yeah.
Fire Strength. Yeah. Those things, I just always hate them. Maybe it's because I just always found them useless. I pulled them in beta packs, and then I think I pulled them in the following set, and I just got so many of these things, and I just like, these are so useless. I hate these cards. I know there's a place. There is the place where you play non-dark cards. It's sort of the OTK sort of scenario where you're playing the Serpapard and the Dark Brand. That's the one place that it's playable, but otherwise I just hate it. I don't know why. I hate it. That's just anyway. But otherwise, we'll go into my deck here. We touched on a lot of those cards, but there's a few cards that weren't on your list. I don't think you had Ryukyu on your list, did you?
I actually did. It was in my top 20, I would say. The reason why I cut it out, one is we saw the love for the rabbits in the community. 2, I've seen decks where it wins using Firehill and being that just like swarm of rabbit decks. And 3, it's, I don't know, it is actually aura-wise reasonable. Like, it's super, super cheap. And if you're playing against Idris or Fong, it will be a little annoying to them. So there were a few things that were going into its favor, but why did you say no to it? No,
really, it's your attack 0. It's the attack 0, because the concept here that you were saying is that if this is a low cost creature that you're playing, we got 1/1s at 4 aura, so that's that you save that 1 aura if you're trying to save aura, and you can do 1 damage with the 1/1s. The only rare case is where you're right. It's where Fong and Fireball. But in those cases, are they going to be targeting the rabbit? Fireball is always going to be hitting Nubia. Fong might hit a rabbit if it just happens to be in the way. But sometimes there's pesky earth elementals that gotta fight the rabbits.
Yeah.
I'm just picturing an epic scene now of a earth elemental that's so massive and it's swinging down into a rabbit that's dodging the punch out of the way. Sorry.
It's so good. People have had a lot of fun with the Ryukyu rabbit. I think out of all the rabbits, I got the most memed because it also showed up in what was that one summon? There was Shahan made a flavor text that actually referenced the Ryukyu rabbit. I think it's
Uh,
Bellum.
the Niradi, I believe.
Is it the
The
knee? I
bird.
thought it
And
was
I
the
think it's
bird in
Jalara.
Bellum. Let's see.
Oh no, you're right. It's not the. No, it's a monkey. Is it a monkey? I think it's a monkey in Thymos.
I think it's this
I love
one.
how we're like,
Energy,
oh,
the
maybe
last
you're right.
sound to enter the skull of
Yep.
the Ryukyu rabbit. So it literally references the Ryukyu rabbit. It's this enjoyable moment of people love these rabbits, and we gotta enjoy that. And Steven, it was the first store promo. So you may hate that card, but it is your store's promo.
I know. I didn't say there's not aspects of it that I didn't like.
No, I get it.
I will also say that this was the card I brought in at the last second because I realized there was a combo in my deck and I didn't want to have any particular synergy / combos.
All right.
All right, let's move on. This wrap.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm bringing this one out. Some people might like it. I definitely do not. It's the Demon Scrolls. Is there a chance in the futures where it's relevant? Yeah, there is a small chance because
Yeah.
the place where it sits is if there is a deck that has a lot of different 8 cheese or a lot of different 7 cheese.
Yeah.
Grabbing a small thing, I'm guessing in those instances you're grabbing a defensive card to save you from something that's more than 4 life.
Mm-hmm.
It's really that's interesting.
Yeah.
But otherwise, usually when people run this Demon Scrolls and their goal is to grab one other card, I go, why don't you just, rather than having this Demon Scrolls, have it be that other card?
Yeah.
That's my logic behind it.
Yep. So I in no way do I disagree with you. I think 100% this card there was just this idea, especially I had it was, now this is the funny part. Similar card in Magic exists, which is the well, any of the tutors, but I think there's an instant speed tutor. But it puts on top of your deck. But that's one of the most. It's such a powerful card. It was banned in certain formats, then become limited as other formats. Like, it's had a long history. I think it's called Demonic Tutor. And
Yeah.
the thing was, it's really interesting taking a card very similar to that, putting it in Genesis, and then it flopping so hard. It then shows me again this principle of things that apply for other games do not necessarily apply for your game. Just to make that rule generic. And so I learned a lot designing Demon Scrolls, but I love this. So let's reveal some of the hidden gems in this artwork. I don't know if people know it. So what I'm going to do, actually, let me grab the actual artwork and throw that up on screen so people can see like the more detailed version. Unfortunately for Alex, you won't be able to, but
that's okay.
I'll give it to the people who are watching the stream right now. They get the opportunity to dig into some of the really cool things. So there's a lot of mythology in this one piece. So let me just find it here. Demon Scrolls, Dodge, Demon's Rage. Oh, it's called the Demon Scrolls. That's why it's not showing up so early on. Okay, let's get that there and transition that onto the screen. So starting with the first thing you'll notice is that there's a 2 close scrolls, and that has the Axon symbol and the Chaos symbol. And then underneath the Axon symbol, you get this small little serpent thing. That's because the 5 ancient ancient gods that created the universe, they were based off of 5 mythological creatures: the Phoenix, the Griffin, the Dragon, the Leviathan, and the Valkyrie. So the little serpent thing under the Axon scroll is supposed to show the Leviathan. For the Chaos scroll, underneath it, you get the wings of Valkyrie. Then there's the 3-piece parchments that are out. Each parchment will, one, show the symbol from that affiliation, and it shows the ancient god in its own way. So you can see the top scroll, that's the Phoenix. I'll let you go look for the Thymos symbol on there. Then you have the Bellum scroll, which has the Griffin. And then underneath it, you can see that wing that's popping out, and that's supposed to be the dragon wing. And the Phage symbol is in there. And then on one of the pieces of paper, in one of the corners, you'll see the RZ symbol, which is Ramiana's signature. So there's just so much hidden stuff inside these pieces. So that's why I love this card. Like, there's so much detail in that artwork. Ramiana did a great job with it. And then this was also one of the first cards which showed us that Phage is to come. Like, the other 4 symbols and creatures are very prominent, and the Phage one is kind of hidden. And there's this idea that it'll come later. So that's my ramble. Still love the card. And then the flavor text, hidden in these scrolls are the answers to all the mysteries of Jae'Lara. So there's a lot in that. Sorry for the ramble, but I hope people appreciated it. Steven, thumbs up?
We saw
Right.
Meditative Ascension on you.
Yeah.
The other one, very similar, is Take to the Skies. And it really stems from the fact that it's an action. And in the times where you want to move up to something and then hit it with range, you can't, because you have to play Take to the Skies first, usually.
Yeah. These are
It's just awkward. It's just awkward.
The funny part is, these are literal stepping stones towards the card that we are now playtesting in Future League, where it's high jump here.
Yep.
So it started as Meditative Ascension in Alpha Beta, and I was like, okay, that's not powerful enough. What do we do to take it to the next level? Well, we took it to Take to the Skies, which gives you kind of that untargetability with aerial, but then allows you to now start hitting flying creatures. Well, we also realized that the game can compensate for some more room. The cards can get more powerful. So we took it one step further with high jump, giving you aerial, giving you the range attacks, and then doing it at swift speed. And now the card's really playable. This is where the game wants it to be. So, yes, I agree. These 2 cards are not playable, but they were stepping stones to becoming better cards.
Yeah. Did you have a Bidens on your list? I do not remember.
I did not.
This is sort of just general. Most of the Pacify effect could just fit under this one card.
So my counter to this is, I love this card in draft. Because it saved me a lot of times. There are some slight synergy because you do get Fleet of Foot. And it's just, especially if you're drafting Raze and Jay and you don't get enough gusts, this is a good placement for that. Because if a summon with 2 health or less comes and attacks you, you're stopping that attack, right? And then if they have more than 2 health and they decide to pay the 2 health, you might be able to kill them before their damage goes off. So this card is a weaker version of Gust, but it's still playable in draft format only. I wouldn't play it in any other format. That's why I didn't have it on my list.
Alright, there is one secret card in my deck that I didn't play. You may have seen me flip it with energy. I'm going to give you a chance to guess what you think it is, Sid.
So this is a card, any affiliation. Temporal Relocation.
It is Temporal Relocation. It had to be in here. If you're playing with Sid, you gotta call out his Temporal Relocation. It may not be as bad as a lot of the other cards. It may be better than a lot of the cards we're talking about. But when you got Sid at your table, you gotta tell him this is a bad card. And we're gonna talk about why it's currently bad. Is it specifically? Let's look at the cost here. Let's start with the cost. That's really expensive there. Boy, ladies and gentlemen, that's a really expensive card. And then why don't we just kill the summon if we're going for a summon? You know, if you're trying to get a champion away, then you know this does a good job at that. I'll give Sid that option.
All right, but
you may now defend how great this card is.
This card
I agree this has its place. This is more for you.
This is a really, really fun multiplayer card. The artwork is hilarious, especially with the flavor text, because I love anything Kendra related. So she's just like, go home, and just like sends Nubia back home. I think that that's awesome. But so here's the thing: you may want to kill the summon, and that's definitely right if you're playing competitive, if you're playing to win. But if you're trying to do silly things like let's tempo relocate our Chrono Walker to get Swift speed teleports, you can't do that by killing your Chrono Walker. There, this card's all about doing just really, really fun, silly things. I really want a moment where we're playing like a 4-player free for all or like a 7-player free for all, and my opponent does something where someone's playing a tsunami to hit a whole bunch of people, and someone tries to get out of the way, and I somehow like shadows grasp them towards me, or they come right beside me, and I tempo relocate them back into the tsunami. Those are moments that I love about this game, and you can't do that with just offensive cards. You got to be silly at times, and this card
That's
is
fair.
a great, great silly card. It's better than Blink
All right, I'll
Sharks.
pull
You
up the
gotta
other
give me
one.
that.
Yeah. Blink, I put them in the same slot, but I had to put this one specifically for you. I pulled out the library because you said you wanted to talk about it. That is the last card of my list here.
So I think you came in a really interesting time because you started playing in March of 2019. So that was just a few months before Welcome to JLR came out. We had already started the development for it, so I think your community ramped up really quickly and was already in the mindset of Welcome to JLR. Library of Sahas came out in first edition alpha. It was launched in 2017. That was the first time I saw print. And early 2019, that's when people started getting quite a few copies of them. This card at that time was very unique, very different, gave you that extra movement, gave you some tempo. It was something you couldn't do with a lot of other cards in the game, especially since Chrono Walker didn't exist. Or if it did, it was a very, very short circulation. So Libraries of Haas was an uncommon, I think, at that time. It was accessible. So people who played at that time still have some love for the Libraries of Haas because it does give you some niche play which other cards don't. But there are better options. Chrono Walker is definitely a really solid option. If you want evasion, well, this card's not about evasion. And I thought it was purely about the displace mechanic. So then we created a card called Displace, and no one plays it. This card in particular, they wanted that combination of both and the reusability of the Libraries of Sahas's ability. And this was one of the first alterations that created the King of the Hill mentality, where someone wanted it and everyone would fight to try to get onto it. So they'd be tossing each other off or pushing each other off to get onto this spot. So there was a lot of love for this card in the early days, and I think you just missed that because by the time you started playing, beta had already launched, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So by the time beta launched,
I started beta.
Yeah, because you have no alpha cards. That's right. You have very, very few alpha cards. So by the time beta launched, this was a lot more accessible. Every card was way more accessible. So when you were pulling this at the same rate you were pulling Chrono Walkers, then yeah, Chrono Walkers is a way better option. But when you were pulling this and there were no Chrono Walkers, actually, I think there was a time where this and Smoke Bomb were your only 6G options if you were playing like if you were playing Vadis. Oh no, you had Archon of Light. So your options are Archon of Light, Smoke Bomb, and Libraries of Sahas. Well, now Libraries of Sahas seems a lot better. Going back to the other card I was talking about, where it's like, as the card pool grows, this card gets weaker. And it was just one of those cases.
That's fair. Well, I really wanted it in my deck because I just wanted to play it. I have tried many times to put it in a deck, and I always end up cutting it.
Yeah. Hey, my brother's watching. Hey, Freed. Thanks for joining.
Well,
Yeah.
do you know what? I have one final card. One final card. Bad cards. Let's throw this card right up here. Look at that card right there.
Oh, Nubia. All right. Well, I know we're already over, but I'm super curious. Is there a card that you think other people think is bad, but you really like? Because I have lots of those. You
Ooh.
know, I have
Oh
lots of those.
boy.
One of my
I
favorites is
gotta go
actually
into a
on the
quick.
screen right here.
Yeah. Is there any card that that you see me say that I like that is bad? I'm trying to think.
So you're a pretty
I
streamlined
don't know
character.
if
I
I
think
do.
Shadow's Grasp might be one that you really
Yeah,
love,
I like Shadow Grasp.
and other people
Yeah.
just overlook. They're like, yeah, but why, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
And the funny thing is, you can sort of compare Shadow Grasp to Temporal Relocation.
so my favorite is Zfang.
Museum.
I remember
Thanks.
fighting tooth and nail, being like,
Weird
I
thing that
love this card.
I'd say cards that I play like extremely a lot that I don't know why aren't in many people's deck is like Pressure Point. That's like a mandatory for me in any Axon deck. And I find a lot of people who play an Axon just will overlook it. I'm like, that card is so amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, you were playing during the time where, Pressure Point's available and Kabus is available, and every Axon deck was like, oh, I need Kabuses. I need Kabuses. And
And
it's
I'm
just
like, I don't want any Kabusses.
yeah, like I still don't understand. Like, I get it, Kabus is a very solid card, but I don't understand why it is more valuable than cards like Stone Protector, Angel Retribution. I'm just trying to find Kabus right now. Oh, where are you? There you are. All right. So first of all, I love the artwork. It totally reminds me of Ghostbusters. But when it comes to Kabus, it's in certain situations, in certain deck styles, yes, it is a very, very solid option. I love it for the Nubia decks. I love it for any of the Epiphany decks. If you're not running OTK and you're just running pure Epiphany, even if you're running OTK, I would think about it. Because if you have a lot of volume and some of those cards are to waste, might as well waste them on a Kabus. But I don't see it as being the right option for a lot of decks because you got the Kabus, now you're discarding a second card. The Kabus is 3 chi. Unless you're discarding another Kabus to it, you're discarding a better card. And if you're willing to discard the better card because you're like, oh, it's useless in my deck in this situation, why are you running this card? Like, I don't understand that. Like, what card are you running in your deck that you're willing to discard so easily to Kabus? I can understand really, really late game, but I just rely on left hooks and cross punches at that time. Like, I just punch my opponent to death, then drop a Kabus. But Pressure Point, I see in all those other situations where you have or I'm saying don't run Kabus, Pressure Point is a great option in those decks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you run Shutdown as well, which is another card that I actually I didn't think it was going to see any play.
Yeah.
I designed it. I was like,
it's definitely a lesser compared to the two.
Yeah.
But it has its place. It's gotten there enough for me to justify continuing to play it.
Yeah. When I designed it, I was like, okay, this is the parallel mirror to Pressure Point. I'm not a huge fan of it. I don't think it will see play, but let's put it out there and see what the reaction is. And we're starting to see more and more decks run, 2 Pressure Points, 2 shutdowns, or 3 Pressure Points, 1 shutdown, something like that, some combination. But they're looking at or using their 3 chis as this point of hurting their opponent in another way. And I'm really appreciating that. Yeah. But Zifang, I mean, Thymos has been hurt a lot. Alpha, Beta, J, Rays. Thymos has never had a lot of things to it to shine. But once it does start seeing more play, and I'm pretty confident that in Origins we'll start seeing a lot more play out of Deimos, Xifeng, I think, should be looked at and considered. I love it. I think it's such a great card. Yeah. Yep. Just reading some comments. So, Stephen, I guess this is about Kabus.
Did he say this is a Kabus?
Actually, when people were ranting about Kabus, I remember creating a blog that was called this. Like I called it Kabusted, and I felt very proud of myself. And its flavor text hints at a different form of power, one that hasn't really been explored beyond Kabus yet. More cast with damage out there means Shutdown was going to be a proper flip-flop sideboard card with pressure point. Yeah. So there are definitely more cast abilities coming out, which is going to make Shutdown a lot more of a niche space, especially as champions and summons start coming out with cast abilities. Because realistically, Guardian Imbalance's Day of Peace should have been a cast ability. And then Shutdown, like if that was a cast ability and other similar abilities were like that, then Shutdown would have been a lot more powerful. And then as for Kabus, yeah, the flavor text, it's true. Like most summons are beckoned through aura or blood magic. Kabus is beckoned by forcing your deepest, darkest nightmare to life, and it plays into this idea that it costs the discard. I think the flavor of it hit really well. So, anyways, that's our conversation about some of the worst cards, why they're the worst cards. A lot of them are bad, not because they're bad, but because the game has grown. And that's a really interesting kind of realization too, is that as the game grows, we have this idea of power creep in a way where if you look at it from the other perspective, it's not so much power creep, it's just rebalancing the scales. So
Yeah.
it depends on how you look at your perspectives on it. I think if we get to a point where we can stop the game from having the round one kills, and the game's more focused on having longer, maybe slower games, we're gonna find a lot of joy out of some of these cards again. So who knows? Who knows what the future of Genesis has in store for us, right? All right, so let's wrap this up. I want to say thank you to everyone who joined us tonight. Thank you to all our Patreon supporters. Thank you to all the stores that support us during COVID. Thank you to the growing communities that are coming out there. I know there's a budding community in Tucson that's slowly growing out. And so for everyone who supports us on a weekly, daily, monthly basis, however you support us, we appreciate it. And thank you so much to Alex for joining me for another week of exploring the libraries. Have a good night.
Thanks for having me. And for everybody watching.
Yeah.
See you next week. If you have any topics, let us know below.
Yes. All right. Bye.